and we will email you a copy of the slides afterwards. So look for those when we're done. And if you want continuing education credits, please email me and I will send you a certificate. So Sarah, maybe can you drop my email in the chat right now? And hopefully I'll remember to mention this again at the end. But yeah, so if you want continuing ed credits, I'm doing it a little bit differently this way. Just shoot me an email. So my name's Kelly Dennings. My pronouns are she and her, and I'm a campaigner with the Center for Biological Diversity. I spent 15 years working in waste, forestry, and conservation before getting a master's in public health. For those that are unable to see me today, I'm a petite, also could be short, white, middle-aged woman with now short brown hair standing in my dining room. I want to acknowledge that I'm on, well, I will be on stolen Seminole, Tamukwa, and Muskogee land come Friday, where many individuals face displacement and suffering and hope one day they receive restorative measures. So now, Adoma, do you want to start with a little introduction?
Thanks so much, Kelly. My name is Adoma. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm speaking to you currently from stolen Quinnipiac land in Southern Connecticut. For those of you who are unable to see me, I am a Black woman with shoulder-length black hair in a gray sweater and clear glasses. Over to you, Kelly. Sarah, excuse me.
Thanks, Adoma. Hi, I'm Sarah Bailey. I'm an organizer with the center. I use she, her pronouns, and I am on Wenhodran land in Western New York. And I am a white woman of average height with brown hair and wearing a blue shirt, talking to you from my home office.
Cool. Thank you all. All right, so we're going to start out with a little bit of interaction. So in the chat, let us know if you're with a nonprofit, for-profit, government, school, individual, or other. And you can just put the number if that's easier. We usually do this as a poll, but we thought we'd try it in the chat this time. We got some nonprofits. Okay, government, awesome. Schools and universities, some more nonprofits and individual. Oh, nonprofit zoo. It's right up your alley, Sarah. Okay, religious order. Welcome. Nonprofit, government. All right. Well, this is great. I spent 12 years in government and now more than, well, about that probably in nonprofit. So welcome everyone. So just a little bit about the center. We're a national nonprofit conservation organization that works through a combination of science, the law, activism, and creative media to protect wildlife and the wild places they need to thrive. So on the screen, you're seeing all of our different programs. So why are we here today to talk about simplifying our winter holidays and other holiday celebrations? Well, the US has 5% of the world's population, but uses 30% of all resources, creates 30% of all waste, and emits 15% of the world's carbon emissions. The average American has an environmental footprint 60% larger than most Europeans and nearly 700% larger than the average person in most African countries. You're maybe familiar with this graph from the Environmental Protection Agency, and there might be one that you're more familiar with specific to your community. But food and plastics are big categories listed on this chart. So this is what is landfilled. And we know that about 40% of all US food is thrown away, and we generate a lot of that during the holidays. And as for plastics, we know that 40% of plastic produced is packaging, which is often used just once and then discarded. And this too increases during the giving season. So the center published a report in 2020 based off almost 1,000 national survey responses. And through that survey, we learned that nearly 3 out of 4 people in the United States thinks the average American consumes too many natural resources. And in that same survey, we asked people about their current behaviors and their willingness to change their behavior. 67% are currently reducing their personal consumption, And 82% are willing, but of that, 31% need more information. So that's great. That's hopefully what we're here to help you with, whether you're going to disseminate this to other folks, but education and awareness can really be useful. So thank you for helping us reach that. But I want to say that that isn't necessarily always that cut and dry. So depicted on the screen is a graphic from the Oregon Department of Environmental Quality that shows how global supply chains can be problematic. The common denominator here is really transportation. So even buying something new but environmentally friendly can contribute to this system. We need to look for new business models that shift to closed material loops, things like extended producer responsibility or the solidarity economy. And I'm sure I don't need to tell this group that waste systems built around reuse, refill, repair, borrow, sharing, and then finally recycling and composting create local jobs, resilient and equitable communities. So, this is a both end situation. Not only do we need to be changing systems level, not only do we need to be changing systems, but we need to actually change individual behavior also. So that is how we're going to get to the goals that we're looking for, where we can nourish our community, have sustainability, and a healthy community. So we want to share with you some of the ways that we think you could do that with some of these projects showing on the screen. And I think Sarah is putting them in the chat for you. So please feel free to take some time during this webinar to visit these websites. But I do want to say right off the bat that we want to acknowledge when we're talking about consuming less, it isn't necessarily an equitable request. So when I talk about conscious consumption, sometimes we say that, some people do need to consume less. Some just need to consume differently. And some folks, even in the United States, need to consume more. And that might be in relationship to food, clothing, or shelter, but even things that bring them joy. So what we want to instill today is that once someone's immediate physical needs are met, perhaps additional material things don't always bring happiness and well-being. Okay, I'm going to turn it over to Adoma, who's going to walk through our Simplify the Holidays campaign. She's then going to turn it over to Sarah, who's going to talk about So Kind, and I'll be back at the end to talk about low waste entertaining and decorating. And each of us are going to highlight new things that have come out within these campaigns this year and share a personal story. So if you came to our webinar last year, that intro might have looked kind of similar or sounded kind of similar, but we do have some new things we're going to talk about this year. All right, and then we're going to hopefully wrap it up with some discussion and Q&A. So over to you, Adoma.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kelly. Before I get into my discussion of the Simplify the Holidays website, I did want to pose a quick question and have a little bit of an interactive portion, if you would indulge me, and sort of use that as a way to get into the why behind this campaign. I think that's going to be on the next slide. Oh, that's me. There we go. So the question is, how do you feel about the winter holidays? What emotion comes up first? And feel free to type in the chat any idea that you're feeling, any emotion that you can think of, and I'll give a couple moments for folks to do that. Excitement. Connectedness. Ooh, I really like that one. Anxiety, yeah, dread, anxiety. That's a big one. Definitely feeling that as well. Stress, yeah. Awesome. Nostalgia, excitement, warm fuzzies, but also a little bit of stress. You see, there's a full spectrum of emotion here that we're really working with. Thank you guys so much for sharing all of your reflections on the holiday season. I think it's really important to think about that as we go into this work and as we talk a little bit more about why we're working on this work. Okay, I wanted to walk you through a little bit about the statistics and the reason behind this campaign. So last year we updated an old but often cited statistic that more waste is generated during the holiday season. The issue was we couldn't really find the original citation of the data. So thanks to the generosity of some local governments throughout the country, we aggregated trash, recycling, yard waste, and food waste data from the 2017, 2018, and 2019 calendar years, and the data was reported in tons. These results suggested that the winter holidays represent a significant environmental burden aggravated by higher levels of consumption. And as you can see on the slide, Americans generate around 23% more waste in December, equivalent to 5.8 million tons of waste, or as you can see in this little infographic, 28,713 Boeing 747 airplanes, which is hard to imagine. So huge amounts of waste generated in the winter holidays alone. Next slide, please. Recognizing the environmental impact of this huge spike in waste, we also wanted to consider the perspectives from the general public regarding holiday waste from packaging, food, and more. So this past summer, we launched a nationally representative survey with responses both in English and Spanish, aimed at determining new perspectives on holiday gift-giving behaviors and other areas of interest in our work, relevant to alternative gifts, updating a previous 2005 holiday survey. While the press release and the report for this are also in the works, the preliminary data released some really fascinating results. So first and foremost, the preliminary nationally representative 2022 survey found that up to 91% of respondents agreed that the holidays are too materialistic, which was up from 78% in the 2005 version of the survey. Another 86% think the holidays should be more about friends and family, focused on spending time together and shared experiences. 24% of respondents wanted fewer or no material gifts this holiday season, and a quarter think that buying material gifts is stressful, sort of echoing a lot of what was said in the chat before, where there's definitely stress around buying new gifts, but there's also a really strong desire for connecting with family and community. Next slide, please. Supplementing the data we collected this year with the data we collected in past years, it's clear that people are willing and interested in simplifying and reinventing their holiday traditions. 66% of holiday shoppers are willing to pay more for sustainable gifts, with younger generations really leading the way. Another 68% of all respondents were likely or very likely to give gifts of experience, such as concert tickets or other things that are not necessarily material. Another 68% were likely or very likely to purchase handmade or DIY gifts. So we're really witnessing a sort of change in how people are perceiving and people's willingness to participate in alternative gift giving. Next slide, please. So what can we do about it? Our findings really emphasize that when people talk about why they love the holidays, they usually describe spending time with friends and family, as we mentioned and as we saw in the chat. Eating good food, having fun, and relaxing. It's time for the holidays with wildlife-friendly gifts and traditions that increase connection, save money, and help the environment, while simultaneously creating meaning in new traditions. Simplifying holiday traditions offers many opportunities to connect with family and your local community. And the Simplify the Holidays website is a great way to get started with numerous different ways you, your family, and your friends can reinvent traditions and make them more impactful on you and less so on the environment. And we're going to go through that on the next few slides. All right. So as you can see, this is a screenshot from our website. Our Simplify the Holidays website will provide you with various tools and resources to create low waste traditions in your home and provide you with information that you can share with others, be that community members, students, employees, or coalition partners. It's also equipped with really useful tips and tricks to get the conversation going. There's a link here on the slide, but throughout the next few slides, there will also be a variety of QR codes that you can use your phone to scan, as well as links shared at the end. So be on the lookout for those. Next slide, please. On the website, you'll find our alternative gift guides, information about creating earth-friendly traditions, as well as deep dives into various holiday seasons, like the winter holidays, for example. We have draft social media posts and food waste reduction guide. And we also have a variety of newsletters and blog contents, and are very happy, as you can see now, to be virtual speakers at any of your events. Next slide, please. Our website, of course, as you probably know, is not limited to winter holidays. There's also a variety of new information going up about fall holidays and Valentine's Day, as well as other holiday traditions. You can find lots of information about simpler entertaining, links to op-eds, and shareable information with tips and data relevant to the cause. Next slide, please. The final thing I'll share with you is a little bit of an update from our last few years. With our gift guides that can lead folks to multiple Pinterest pages with lots of different creative ideas. And these guides are really organized by the type of gift, which link to, of course, Pinterest boards, as I mentioned before. For example, our DIY board, you can find a variety of how-tos for upcycling old t-shirts into quilts, among several other things. This year, we've also expanded our collection of gift guides to include new ideas about the solidarity economy, which is focused on supporting gift giving from community-based and local groups committed to socioeconomic justice, as well as new ideas about secondhand gifts. And of course, the So Kind registry, which will be walked through later in this presentation. And as you can see, there's a little bit of a QR code on this screen. If you feel the need to, you can scan with your phone and take a look at some of our gift guides. Next slide, please. If you are still interested in wrapping something, we do stress how environmental and social justice are deeply intertwined and go hand in hand. We really encourage you to take this opportunity to support local businesses, especially those owned by Black, Indigenous, and people of color, as well as local reuse organizations to help build local circular economy solutions. Additionally, in the last few weeks, we've launched a new page about secondhand gift giving, which is a really great way to give low impact gifts that fit any budget. With respect to secondhand gifts, I personally am a big believer in secondhand gifts. I recently gave my mother a collection of like antique paintings that she really loves, and records that really fit along with her like growing record collection. And so it was a really great way for me to tap into ways that things that she was already passionate about, while also doing my part to lower the impact of the gifts that I was giving. All right, so if you are interested in learning more about secondhand gifts in particular, you can scan this code on the screen to get to our larger secondhand gift guide. All right, thank you so much for your attention today. Whatever your holiday plans are, happy simplifying, and over to you, Sarah.
Thanks, Adoma. So I'm going to be going over the So Kind wish list platform and highlighting some of the fun updates and changes that we did to it this year. But first, another interactive portion. So we're going to be talking about alternative gifts. So what types of alternative gifts have you given? Whether it be charity, experience, handmade, secondhand, or gifts of time and skill. So you want to throw those in the chat? Oh, nice. We have people who've done multiple of these. That's awesome. Love this. Okay, so maybe you guys can give us some other ideas to add to these too. And maybe we can still introduce a few different ideas within these categories to you. All right, next slide. So just some stats on gift giving. 3 in 5 Americans admit to lying about liking a gift they've received. I'm sure we've all been experienced a well-meaning friend or family member gifting us something, whether it's not our size, not our style, not our interest. It happens. But nearly a third of people who've accepted a gift they didn't like threw it in the trash, which is a bummer. Obviously, like we know, landfills take up habitat area. We don't want to keep adding to them. And so it's kind of a double whammy of bad effects, because also, you know, these brand new items do take resources to create. So to just throw them in the trash isn't an ideal way to get rid of it. And even when you return it to a store, that's kind of been a recent thing that's come out. Sometimes those also end up in a landfill. I forget if we go into it later, but this is our plug for ending the stigma around regifting things, because it's better than it being in a landfill. Next slide, please. So our resolution to this is making a wish list. So it's super common for kids to make them to kind of help give direction in their, their ever-changing interests. and what they may like, but we think it's also worthwhile for adults to do as well. And while you're at it, considering alternative gifts that will have less of an impact than brand new items. So Kind is a wish list and registry platform. It's been around for several years. We actually inherited it from the organization that started it, called New Dream. We've had it for a number of years, and this year we finally had the capacity to do some really nice updates to it. But ultimately, this you are able to make registries for any number of celebrations, from weddings, baby showers, birthdays, graduation, housewarming, and what we're going to push now, the holidays. Next slide, please. So how it works, once you make an account, start a registry, you can add gifts to your registry or wish list. So this is really a completely blank slate and open to all the creative options you can consider. So you put in the type of gift, you then have a space to put in a description of the gift. This is a great place to plug why if this is an alternative gift that may not be as intuitive to other folks, explaining why you prefer that sweater secondhand, or why you're looking for an experience gift over an item. You can put in a URL if that's needed. That's often helpful for if you are looking for charitable donation gifts. You can direct people right to a donation page for your favorite organization. And then you can highlight the type of gift there. I realize this is a little bit small on the screen, but the different types of gift are secondhand, new or secondhand, handmade, time, experience, Skillshare, charity, gift cards or funds, and day of event help, which is more of a wedding specific one. You can adjust the quantity. And then there's fun options to the right of that box. You can choose different pictures to represent to kind of customize your wish list a little more. Just kind of help, illustrate this concept for people. Alternative gift giving is not intuitive to everyone. So the more explanation and illustrations you can include with it, I think makes it a lot more clear to people. Next slide, please. And here's an example. I just pulled my old wedding registry, but some things we included on our registry that were different than the classic, monogram towels or KitchenAid mixer. We looked for a honeymoon dog sitter. Our dog was not going to be able to go with us on our honeymoon. So we put it there as a gift card or funds where people could donate the cash to pay someone, but alternatively, someone also could have offered to be the dog sitter. So that is a gift of kind of time and skill. We had a moving fund, a date night fund. We also really love the outdoors. So we asked for cash towards a national park pass. We had other stuff on there like a zoo membership and everything. You can kind of really think about the activities you enjoy. And kind of what can support that. Next slide, please. So this is what it looks like on the new updated one. I just couldn't fit as many of examples, so that's why we had the last slide. So there's a few more options now for updating, little backgrounds and borders on there. And we kind of got rid of some of the blank space in the area to make it more clear and legible. Next slide. We also have give lists as an option, and this is kind of a good way to help encourage your friends and family to ask for alternative gifts. So you can, there's kind of the two sides of gift giving to encourage within this. You can ask for them yourself, but also if you want to facilitate giving them. So again, sorry that the text is a little small on here from these screen grabs, but this is a sample holiday family give list. So a family came together, made this list of things they want to offer their loved ones. So one of them is dog sitting. The explanation basically saying they're not ready for a dog of their own, but they're happy to kind of do a test run by watching other people's dogs and offering that. So if you are someone who enjoys pets and want to help your friends and family who have them, that is a great thing to offer. They also have camping buddies on here. So just, encouraging other folks to join them in the outdoors and join them on a camping trip. And then a $25 donation to your favorite charity. So while all the other types of wish lists have a give this gift button, give lists have a receive button. So if a friend or family member were to send you their give list, you could then claim what you are interested in on that list. Next slide. So other items that are new this year. So in addition to just overall appearances and better security updates, we have made So Kind mobile friendly, created some gift guides and some explainer videos to walk you through it. Next slide. So yeah, mobile friendly was huge. Before it was really hard to navigate on your smartphone, but now you can. So you can do it while you're on the go, anywhere, anytime. This is great when we're all kind of coming out, going into and coming out of our Thanksgiving travel. You can kind of start getting the wheels turning on your holiday wish list then, or just, if a great idea pops in your head when you're not sitting at your computer, it makes it easy to add it then. We also have included gift guides by event. So if you go to sokind.org and scroll down, we have them by gift type and then by event. So if you specifically want to look at these different areas, we've got weddings, baby showers, birthdays, holidays. And then if you click into those gift guides, you'll see the next slide. And within that, it'll then be broken down by the different gift types that kind of work into that. So you can specifically look into more handmade or experience, or gifts of charity, really any of those categories that strike your fancy. Next slide. And because, if this is a whole new platform to you, we want to make it as easy as possible. I have several short explainer videos on our YouTube channel that immediately walk you through it, and it's recording my screen at the time, of how to make an account and a registry, how to add a gift, and how to give a gift, because that's the other side. So if you want to include that as well for people, so they can understand how to use your registry, we do want to make it as user-friendly as possible. So we hope those help. And next slide. And then my little personal story about experiential gift giving. So this was from a few years ago, I think 2017, maybe 2018. I don't live where I grew up, so when I'm home, it's really nice to get to spend time with my family. So I really have tried to make that what my gift is for them at the holidays, some activity we can all do together. My dad is a big Philadelphia Eagles fan. So at first I looked into tickets for a game, and those were out of my budget at the time. So I was looking for other options, and after kind of poking around on the website, found out there were stadium tours available, and they were very affordable. I believe at the time it was $5 a person to go, and it's like a 2-hour tour. You get to see the locker rooms, walk out on the field, see the press box. It was super cool. And yeah, so there's just a bunch of pictures from that. It was a really good time. My dad had never been around, like, seeing these parts of the stadium before, so that was fun. And then as an additional bonus, they had told us when you walk in the locker room, you're not supposed to walk on the logo on the floor, which you can see in the bottom right picture. Apparently that's like bad luck. So they tell you to be aware of that and don't do it. My mom was not paying attention and did that, and then got pulled aside by the tour guide with this other, that's the top right picture, along with this other woman in the teal scarf. Their punishment was to sing the Eagles fight song in front of the entire tour, which you can see is not a small group of people. So that was just a really fun bonus memory. And this was the year they ended up winning the Super Bowl. So like the timing couldn't have been better. So this was a really fun, memorable trip for the whole family. And I always encourage this it's a good idea for the sports fan in your life. Game tickets are also great, but if you need a little more budget friendly option, stadium tours are really cool. And yeah, I mean, also, whatever holiday festivities are happening at botanical gardens, zoos around your area, those are great. I've also taken my nieces and nephews out to the zoo for the day or gifted them a zoo membership. So there's really all kinds of great options, maybe things you already enjoy doing, but just haven't considered giving as a gift. So get those wheels turning and come up with some experiential gift ideas. And now over to Kelly.
All right. Thanks for hanging in there, y'all. Okay, so I will say one of the most common questions we get is, how do you approach this subject with your loved ones who really like to give material gifts? So my advice here would be to just kind of start small. Don't ask to stop exchanging gifts altogether. Don't ask to get rid of your Christmas tree altogether. Don't ask to remove all meat from your traditional holiday meal. Maybe just institute a few swaps, which we'll talk about in a minute. So showing on the screen is a little script that you could use in relation to having folks use SoKind as a way to ask for alternative gifts. So this you'll find on the website under the Better Gift Giving section. And, I don't know if you send that email out like, hey, who's coming over? Who's bringing the casserole? Who's bringing this? Maybe you could start that a little bit earlier in the season and take some of this language. On an etiquette blog, it says to gather friends and family that feel the same way to maybe help you ask for support. So there's, safety in numbers. Let others know as soon as possible that you won't be buying them gifts. Mention the benefits of everyone being involved in buying fewer or no gifts, and suggest an alternative to exchanging gifts. So happy to drop this in the chat here if you want to read more about the etiquette in doing this. So I think each of us could break down our gift giving list into different groups of people, like friends, partner, coworkers. You got your adult family members, then you got your children family members, your extended family, your neighbor, and then you get your teachers and your hairdressers, the mailman. I mean, it gets kind of big, right? So for children, maybe you ask grandparents to follow this rule. I heard this last year and I loved it. Get them one thing they want, one thing they need, one thing to wear, and one thing to read. And then perhaps you do either a white elephant party with your friends, maybe the secret gift exchange with your extended relatives, or pitch in with your coworkers to give something to a needy family, all of which can cut down on the number of gifts you have to purchase. And if you want to stop receiving unwanted gifts, stop giving unwanted gifts and ask for nothing in return. This way, somebody won't feel obligated to give you anything. So I'm curious in the chat. I don't think I put an interactive thing here. No, I'm curious though in the chat if you've used any of these strategies, the Secret Santa, the white elephant, or something else that we haven't thought of here. Yeah, one for the kids with my parents. Yeah, that's a good one. Always helpful. We used to do the coworkers would all get together, donate money, and then buy something for a needy family. So I always kind of like that one. Donated to charities and people's names. Yeah, that's a good one. Well, hopefully this gave you some ideas and you can come back next year and tell us how it went. So when we think of decorating for the winter holidays, those that celebrate Christmas probably think of getting a Christmas tree. So this is that age-old question of, paper versus plastic, but do you get a real tree or a fake tree? And while a real tree sequesters carbon, supports local economies, and can be reused at the end of its life, hopefully in your community through composting, if they're not grown organically, you can come in contact with the pesticides, and often they're driven hundreds of miles from where they're grown, which creates air and climate pollution. So artificial trees have to be used sometimes up to 20 years to have a similar carbon footprint to a real tree. And most are made from a PVC plastic, which can be harmful to the climate and creates toxic pollution. And these too often travel great distances, oftentimes China, which emits greenhouse gas emissions. So instead of answering that question, I say, try to make a tree that isn't either of those, something that you already have around the house. So, strings, books, cardboard. We've got some examples in the Pinterest boards under winter entertaining ideas, I think. So anyway, take a look at those and maybe go in your own direction and not get either. And then instead of store-bought wrapping paper, which often isn't recyclable, try jazzing up recyclable grocery bags, white office paper, newspaper, old maps, comics, or calendars. And if you're looking for a reusable option, try fabric scrap, a glass jar, pillowcases, a basket, scarf, or reusable bag. So anyway, a little bit of ideas here for you. Okay, I just remembered something that I had to make a note of because we didn't mention it. All right. So in 2017, as part of my master's thesis on experiential gift giving, so I have been doing this for a while now, I asked folks in a random sample survey what the most meaningful holiday activity was for them. And almost 50% said having or cooking a traditional communal meal with friends and family. So this is a big part of our waste in the holiday season. So the food and drink we serve around the holidays is important, and how we serve it also impacts the environment. So first, try to prevent food waste by getting an accurate head count of who will be coming, and make sure to meal plan before going to the grocery so as to purchase only what you need. And then next, try to swap a few meat dishes with plant-based ones, even if that means leaving out the ham from the green bean casserole or using water instead of chicken stock in the stuffing. When it comes to leftovers, invite your guests to bring containers to take some home, and make sure to put the oldest leftovers up front in the fridge so that they're used first. And make sure to compost anything you can. And finally, choose to reuse plates, cups, utensils, and napkins. And I know reusables can create more work for the host, so maybe ask your guests to bring their own reusable items that they may take back and wash with them at the end of the night, or ask the friend to give of their time by helping to wash dishes instead of giving you a material gift. So if you want to learn more about Take Extinction Off Your Plate, which talks about this meal planning, I'm dropping the link in the chat here. Sorry if I'm jumping in on you there, Sarah. I couldn't remember if I'd given you these links. Okay, and then I am going to end with my personal story. So, you know, this clearly identifies the privilege I held as a young person, but I had a family that loved to shop, and my mom and dad met at Macy's. They both worked at Macy's, and they grew up in retail. So I was dressing mannequins and I was stocking store shelves as, you know, a child. And even for about a year, my dad operated a Christmas store. So that is me at the bottom here. I was working or helping or, you know, hanging out at his Christmas store. So asking my family to make this change was a really big shift. So I've created the So Kind wish list and shared that with my family. I've focused on giving and receiving experiential gifts only. But the story this year was, as many did in 2020, we embraced Zooms and we held our holidays that way. So I know folks have a love-hate relationship with virtual options, but it was a really good way to get some of the benefits of spending time with friends and family while not breaking the bank or using a lot of greenhouse gases. And so, yes, this is my family Zoom photo on Christmas. And I think this year I'm going to focus on secondhand gift giving. So with that, well, while we need additional policy that would make it easier to consume consciously through durable and repairable goods via improved corporate transparency, while it would be great to build a circular economy that supports sharing, borrowing, and reuse, and require companies to be accountable for the ultimate disposal of their products and packaging they put out, individuals do have a role to play. So we're asking that you make a pledge this afternoon to give one or more alternative gifts this holiday season. So social science shows us that you're more likely to follow through on that promise if you make your pledge public. So to do that, you can type in the chat, I pledge to give blank, or, you know, one experiential gift, or, you know, a secondhand gift, or whatever you might want to do this year. So I'm going to give you a minute to do that, and I will answer one of the questions that I saw. The center did have a pledge going that was you would sign up and then you'd get 4 emails from us throughout the month of November, pretty much. And it was live for a short period of time and now it is closed. But if you want the content from that, we can get you that content. And I'm gonna work on that here in a minute. So just before I close here, on the slide, you're seeing some of the links that might be useful, both of the websites we talked about, along with some draft social media posts and graphics. So if you're with a local government here looking for newsletter content, or I saw somebody from the Rotary and you're looking for social media content or whatever, please jump into our social media toolkit. We just updated some of the graphics this week. So yes, you're welcome to take that. We are looking for additional testimonials to share on our website. So when you look at the Simplify the Holidays, there's kind of a banner at the bottom sometimes that has, you know, I did this, and it's just your first name and your last initial. We're always looking for other people to give us ideas. And so that would be the survey that we're looking for you to take. And I think Sarah's dropping some of these in the chat. And then finally, we're asking our environmental colleagues, friends, and family to take the holiday survey, which is what Adoma shared with you all today, but that was a national representative kind of paid survey. And so we're kind of curious to see what we call our friends and family and supporters think of the same questions we asked. So I think that's everything on this slide. Oh, and Sarah's explainer videos. And then we have a number of other webinars coming up, and I won't necessarily have these in the follow-up email, unfortunately. So I wanted to give you the opportunity here. I think Sarah is going to also drop these in the chat. So there's going to be a lot coming at you. But we're going to be doing a webinar about the circular economy, and I'm going to be discussing how consumption impacts wildlife. That one is paid. You do have to pay for that one. The National Zero Waste Conference, Adoma, Sarah, and I will all be talking. Adoma will be sharing some other data that she has. Sarah will be talking about decreasing personal consumption, and I'll be unveiling some new research related to reuse and food codes. You also have to pay for this one, unfortunately. And then we have a couple of other save the dates here and a webinar recording available where we just put out a new report talking about fossil fuel extraction, plastic products, industrial agriculture, and climate change and related to reproductive health. And then finally, we have some partners in the movement, and two of them, one is Plastic Free Future they're advocating for Buy Nothing Day, which is, Black Friday. So they're inviting people to, partake in that on November 25th this year. And then, not to be confused, but there is a Buy Nothing Project, which is probably what you might be familiar with. They generally had Facebook groups where you could buy nothing and meet locally to exchange things. They have an app, and they're trying to move people to the app and off of Facebook, just, so they're not beholden to Meta and everything Facebook. And so you can download their app in the iPhone store or Android using these links that Sarah's sharing. All right. So these are our email addresses, but I'm going to stop sharing now. We're going to take any questions, maybe scroll back through the chat to see if there's anything we can discuss. Sarah, Adoma, have you scrolled through the chat while I was talking?
Besides the asking about reopening the pledge, I don't think there are too many other questions. I mean, lots of people sharing great ideas. So I think everyone should scroll through the chat. There was a lot of good stuff shared throughout.
Yeah, thank you all for pledging in the chat. Also, it's a real bummer. It worked out that the larger pledge was not available for this. But we learned, to fix that for next year. It's good to see you, Jen. Thank you for talking about the work that you do there in Pennsylvania. And yep, we will be sharing the presentation. Yeah. Well, we do not need to keep folks if there's no questions, but get up with us if you do want to, have us write something for your newsletter or, do this presentation for another group that you're involved with. We are fine to do that. I was just scrolling up. Now I'm going to scroll back down.
I like the mention of someone says, don't forget that if you give gifts to teachers, these ideas apply too. Can vouch with growing up, both my parents were teachers. I think we all enjoyed the snacks they were gifted more than another like #1 teacher mug.
I like Ariel's here idea of maybe a Slack. So we do have Slack and I am the administrator of it. So that would be an easy one for us to do. I like that. I'm writing that down. Keep them coming, folks. Well, if somebody wants a continuing ed credit, feel free to email me. Let me put my email in here again. Oh, I love that idea, Emily. Okay, I'm grabbing that. Oh, Kathy, that's a great idea to do this at your local library.
Ooh. Love secondhand wrapping paper. That's huge.
Yeah.
I know my mom always just recollects all the gift bags, so we just reuse those every year, or have like gift wrapped boxes, like both parts, so you just kind of have to open it. So that's worked out well over the years of like just not needing the paper anymore.
Anybody want to come off mute or camera and share anything? Happy to just keep doing it in the chat, or we can close this down.
I can share an idea. I've been sharing lots in chat, but I love the handmade gift giving. So I'll just share a couple of fun ideas that are also repurpose oriented. I know that like ornaments kind of fall in that category of like, it works if somebody has a tree or whatever, and it's sort of hit or miss. But several years ago, it actually started because when my great grandmother died when she was 103 years old, when we cleaned out her house, it was full of stuff, right? And one of the things that I took, because they were very special, were these very antique wooden thread spools. And I used the rest of the thread, but then I saved them and made ornaments. So they hang on my tree every year. And then the latest thing I started doing is I saw an idea for taking bicycle chains, and you obviously have to clean them up, bicycle chains, and then you use super glue to like form them into like fixed shapes. So hearts and stars are really easy to make. And I am making those for my gift giving this year. So it's kind of a fun, like I had this bicycle chain. I was like, oh, this seems like this could be really cool. And I've seen people repurpose them for other things. So that's what I'm doing this year. But the other thing I wanted to mention is I do some gift giving year round for pets, people with pets, and especially cats. And so I have a thing, and my neighbors all know this now. I collect socks that were like a pair, one is missing. And then I grow catnip in my backyard all summer long, and I dry that. And then I fill the socks with fabric scraps, so not synthetic batting, so it's safe in case they come open, and then the dried catnip, and I sew them closed, and then I gift those as gifts for the cats. So they're called lost soul. I jokingly call them my lost soul cat toys. But those are just a few ideas if people are like doing creative things. But the other gift wrap thing is everyone has way too many t-shirts, and it's really easy to make a t-shirt tote and then have that be the wrap, because then it can become part of the gift. But kids shirts, especially like if you get them from events or like, whatever, where you're not going to use them, they're a great size for gift giving.
Then you're helping people not need plastic bags. That's a nice double whammy.
Yeah, so it becomes a gift that continues and stays with them. Exactly. But it's a nice, easy way to wrap gifts of various sizes.
I think on our handmade holiday section, we do have some pet toy options. I did not have that one specifically of like socks and catnip. I love that. We have some, for perhaps the less crafty or who are not going to grow their own catnip, some toilet paper, like you can cut them up and make little mini fish.
Oh
like,
yeah.
put them together for a little cat toy. Or I've done going back to the old t-shirts, I've made some dog toys that way. So, and I've gifted those to my niece cats and niece and nephew dogs.
Apparently you can take denim, which is great, like reuse jeans, and like braid it in a way that's really good for dogs. I don't have a dog, but that's apparently like a good way to make it nice and strong.
Awesome.
Oh, thanks, Emily.
Thank you all for this. This is great.
I'm going to put in the chat one more link. Sarah might have already shared it, but if you want to keep up with our consumption work, it doesn't even really sign you up for a newsletter. I'm not sure, maybe it does, but anyway, it's just a list of people that are interested in this, and in theory I can go grab it and send you a webinar invite. But well, it was great, everyone. Have a wonderful holiday season. We just got through Halloween, but I don't know about you, I've already seen everything. The stores are already full of winter holiday stuff. So best to everyone. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
I'm going to stop the recording. My bad.